I was saying thank you for accepting our invitation to give us this seminar. Dr. Leila Youssef is a postdoctoral research fellow at Brunel University London and University College London, and will give us a seminar about opening the black box, which we are seeing with some things inside. So I'll give you the word, Leila, please.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much for the invitation. I'm so grateful to be here and share my research, what I've done, and my research interest with you. I'm so excited, and yes, happy to see you all. So yes, so I am going to talk about opening the black box. Actually, is I call it opening the black box because is a kind of complex model that we're going to discuss in this talk. So mainly what I am going to talk about is going to be about the personalized disease prediction using hidden variables and dynamic Bayesian network, which is a probabilistic graphical model. So as you might know that I have done my PhD in artificial intelligence in medicine and disease prediction. So, and this is my topic of my PhD. So the short topic, I have longer topics as well. So, and then right now I am doing my postdoc at Brunel and University College London, UCL. So for a project of Alan Turing Institute and British Heart Foundation, which is kind of similar to the research I have done in my PhD. So let's get started. So yeah, as I said, I am going mostly talk about black box model. This is kind of problem and challenge. We want to solve this. And then we want to see that what is the clinical black box models and what are the challenges there out there to be faced and how they can be solved. And so based on the problem and challenges, we find out that there is a lack of the explainability. So we go for the need for AI transparency, and then we're going to see the motivation and the data that mostly I work on my PhD and written in my thesis. And then we explain the model that we can use for visualization and explain the model and different methodology and models that are used and contribution and the outcome finding, and then the conclusion and future books and my publication. So first of all, I am going to talk about black box model. So I would like to know that how many of you just faced with this kind of black box AI model so far, or you have got some idea. So I just want, if you could raise your hand, so then I really appreciate that. I cannot see anyone.
Only one virtual hand.
Yes.
Diogo.
Okay. So okay, so that's great. Not many of you, but still that is absolutely fine. So I just need to remove this. Yeah, apologize. So let's look at this model. So I am going to talk about black box model. Let's see what is the black box model from the, in general, not especially, like, so we say that we want to consider the black box model in healthcare or clinical model. So consider this video. So as we see, we have a number in here. And what we want to do, we want to use artificial intelligence, which I call it AI from now, to be able to understand that what is that. So we want to see that what this figure is showing actually. So, and then based on different deep learning and neural network, which are all considered as a black box AI model, they solve this problem like that, as you see. So I play it again. So you see that for understanding 9, okay, so they need to do a lot of math and a lot of calculation based on the pixel and image processing. So we don't go to the detail. I just want to you get some idea that how some problem is going to be fixed. For example, if this is the cancer cell, so is kind of similar. If you're looking for something in the image, then we can understand it with this kind of black box model, which we call it black box model. Why we call it black box model? So we say this deep network, actually we call this as a capsule network, which today is very much interested for everyone are interested to using these models, and because they have got very good accuracy in terms of the predictability and providing a very accurate and precise prediction. So as we see that in here, we can understand, we can predict which number can be. So, and with this kind of the calculation, the number of the calculation for just understanding one number, which is kind of easy here, just a few lines. So we need that much calculation, which and more hidden layers, which I'm going to talk about that. So misunderstanding about the risk of if I cannot understand this number, or as I said, the cells in the cancer. So if I do some mistake in understanding this in terms of the calculation, because it's computer, it's AI, but it still is something that cannot be trusted easily. So what is going to be happen and who is going to be affected by this? So I just want to clarify that why I choose this black box model to try to open it. Actually, I'm not saying I open it and I don't claim that, but I am trying to open the black box model. So based on the different techniques, here I said that it's neural network. Based on different techniques, we can do different calculation and different, we get different outcome. So if you can see in here, I talk about the complexity in black box model as we have many hidden layers. And in here, for just this simple number with just only 28 times 28 in terms of the scaling. So we have this much hidden layer. So they are, the name of this is hidden layer. And we have this kind of output because we need to consider all of the cells across the, from the row to the column, all of them should be considered and it should be tested like 0 and 1. So is this cell 0 or 1? And then, like to understand that is it similar to 9 or is similar to 1 or 6 or whatever, right? So it's very complicated. We have this is the input layers. This is actually, so the output layer that I need to predict that is 9. And in here we have many hidden layers. As you can see, there are lots of interaction and links in here. That's why we call it black box model. So I just to the next one. Yes. So as I said, neural network, which is a component of the AI applications, such as image processing, as I mentioned, and image recognition, or neural or natural language processing, and speech recognition. Maybe you have heard this name in AI and machine learning techniques. So among others, they are all called as a black box model. As I explained why they are black box. And the main reason is they are hard to understand. So in this black box, so we are not sure what is going on. So we are not sure that how we came to this conclusion. Although we can get very good accuracy, which is, as I said, nowadays, lots of people, they use deep neural network by lots of neuron and hidden layers still, because it's very good in terms of the accuracy. So, but I am just challenging this because I don't want to use deep learning. I'm not saying that I don't like deep learning. Of course, I like it and it's very good. But I'm saying that for different kind of data, we need to make sure that which type of technique is the most appropriate one and fitted the model best. So, as you can see in this figure, so I show that. So if you consider different learning techniques, so machine learning techniques, like a decision tree, Markov models, Bayesian neural. This is all different techniques that we can use for the prediction, classification, and clustering. So the deep learning have got the very high accuracy and very low explainability. So that's our problem that we need to fix it. So let's go on and focus more on the healthcare challenges. So the analysis of the complex patient model in my previous research has revealed that the mortality of the different kind of disease, which I mainly focus on type 2 diabetes, explain why and how I've been motivated. So the main, so as I said, the research has revealed that the mortality often occurs due to complication or comorbidities caused by the disease and not the disease, especially in type 2 diabetes. For example, type 2 diabetes have got some kind of complication like a stroke and heart disease and eye disease, even foot damage and kidney damage. So, but all of them, they are very risky, and then we need to understand this complication. So the problem in here that, first of all, as we explained before, we need to provide a model for predict the to predict the disease, or we say that a complication of disease, to be explainable AI, not being a black box model, that it is going to be easy for understand for both patient and clinician, and as well as the data scientist. It's not like I, as a data scientist, I know what's going on and how many hidden layers are there and how is the interaction and what is the mass behind that. So we want to have a model that it can be trustworthy, which is right now doing some work that I am going to discuss about this in the future slides, but still there are a lack of providing the explainable AI model. So, and then if we want to focus on the clinical data, which are sensitive based on their nature and are complex and very difficult to understand. So, and there are some kind of uncertainty and hypotheses. And data often needs enrichment and novel AI techniques to provide a solution for those hypotheses. So these are different diseases like type 2 diabetes and many different diseases like asthma. So they are complex and they are temporal. I mean that they've been developed. They are developed during the time, and you know, like, so the level of the disease might change during the time from low, medium, and high, and based on the different risk factors like family history or many more. So, and then as I said, so one of the main problem that we face in healthcare challenges to obtain and observe. If you have ever tried to observe and have a questionnaire and go to try to collect some data, you might face this challenge that it's very difficult to have all kind of type of the data that you're looking for from most of the patients, and based on the many different risk factors that is affecting the different particular disease. So based on this, so we need to, we call these hidden factors or hidden layers, as or later variable that I am discussing later. So another challenges that I said in the diabetes, which is considered as a complex network, complex model. So there are lots of interaction between complications. For example, if I develop hypertension, it might cause to have eye disease, retinopathy, or even foot damage or kidney damage. So then they are, you know, like kind of connected, or we say correlated, or they are cause and effect relationship among them. So based on the problem of the black box model that I discussed and the challenges in healthcare, so I've been motivated to start my research in this area. And why I choose diabetes. So a major and global cause of the mortality for this kind of disease as the diabetes is associated, which is have got lots of associated complication or comorbidities. So this is caused by those complications, as I mentioned earlier. And nearly 10% of the population currently suffer from the type 2 diabetes. And then, as I said, they've got different complications. So you can see in here that I try to show you that the challenges with type 2 diabetes. And I call it that type 2 diabetes is just the tip of the iceberg. And you see that is with the sugar cube I show it in here. There are some risk factors and some kind of complication that they are not hidden, and we can measure them based on the data of observation and the collected data. But there are some other complication and risk factor which are not measured. So it's not possible for the clinician and the people that physician that they try to collect everything, you know, at the hospital. And the data that we have got is totally different. So for example, the data I collected for my thesis, for my PhD, was from the Pavia Hospital in Italy, and it was good data, but it was a small data set. And the problem with that was that so there I had just a few risk factor with less missing data, and then I have to reduce the number of the risk factor that I am analyzing. For example, I had to consider just high blood sugar, cholesterol, and blindness and liver disease, and I didn't have family history and depression. I call this hidden variable. So from now, when I say that hidden variable, so I mean, or latent variable, or that hidden layers. So I mean that these factors that they are in here. So, and we want to capture this. Why we want to capture this? We want to capture this to be able to improve the predictive model and the prediction. So that is our aim. So let's go to the next one. So as I said, machine learning is actually a very resource hungry practice, and applying levels of the rationality to the way actually we use computer are being very insufficient from my idea. Having said that, I reckon that Bayesian approach is extremely beneficial, and that is why I am so passionate about using dynamic Bayesian network in my research. And I want to tell you that why I choose this and which kind of problem I am going to solve, and how can I provide a better model which is not black box, and to be able to be understood by non-expert, not just a researcher or data scientist. So Bayesian approach bring different type of evidence to answer the question of the importance and any question. So in here you can see that we have a network that I call this Bayesian network, and you can see that what is good about the Bayesian network. First of the most important one, at least that it seems to me very important, is just no limit for minimum sample size. I mean that, so the problem right now, as I said, especially in clinical practice, is collecting data and having many patients with no missing data or many risk factors or accurate result and real data. So Bayesian network, unlike deep learning, doesn't have this limitation, and it can work with a few very small data set and provide a very good predictions. And this model is transparent. That's why I use it for explainability. Because it's a graphical model, a probabilistic graphical model, and it helps us to predict through inference and based on the cause and effect relationship. For example, I'm saying that in here that you see that award code is causing the dropout of the student. So here is the network of the student dropout that I used to work in my research work. So let's go to the next one. So as I said, so if you want to know a little bit, so before I just move on, so I just want to ask you again another question, that if you are familiar with the probabilistic graphical networks or Bayesian network or even naive Bayes or these kind of models, and have you ever done any probabilistic programming? So I just want to know if you could just raise your hand. I really appreciate that. I just want to know that if you got some knowledge about this. Okay, so that's great. Okay, so thank you. So yes, based on the Thomas Bayes, which invented the Bayes theorem, we use this mass. So is not like so. I know that some of us we don't like formula much, but here is so easy so to understand. So I'm saying the probability of A, any event like a disease, given B, any risk factor. I'm saying that if I develop cancer, okay, so having known and given the data with the prior knowledge that I have got, for example, I don't know, some problem with my hair, you know. So how is the problem with the skin? So how is likely that I develop cancer? Based on this formula, so I can find the likelihood. I can based on the evidence. So I have the evidence as B, and then I say that the based on the prior, and then I want to say that what is the probability of having known A and then given B. And other scientists that we used, I used different algorithm to solve different tests by using the Fisher test and different Bayesian networks algorithm. So here is that the main methodology and the model in here. So yes, so I know that is a little bit big, but this figure actually showing the whole methodology that I use in my thesis. So, and you can find a number in here. So let me just explain that what I've done in here. So I have explored various descriptive and predictive strategy that enable personalized patient analysis. So to be able to predict complications of disease, to be able to say that, for example, one of the patients with having this level of the cholesterol and blood pressure and having liver disease, I have all of this information. How likely this patient is with having type 2 diabetes, how likely he or she is going to develop eye disease in next 5 years. So what I've done in my thesis is like that. I predict that how likely a patient can develop different complication during the time, the complication of disease, which is type 2 diabetes. So this figure actually summarizes the clinical implications and show how the obtained experimental findings and their significance has led to develop the explainable AI model. So throughout my research, I used the appropriate machine learning techniques based on the data that I have got. The data, as I said, it was very small size, and it was some kind of, there are many unmeasured factor or hidden factors there that I needed to use the dynamic Bayesian network. So here you can see that I've done the pre-processing, so I discretized data and I try to understand the bias and then the patient, the pattern extraction. So I mean that I look at the patient during the time. So how my data look like? The data is just based on the, for example, 356 patients, so that I use in my PhD. And there are 13 different risk factors like blood pressure and cholesterol. And there are 5 complications, binary complication, like retinopathy, that I know that this patient with type 2 diabetes have developed retinopathy after the second visit or third visit or whatever, or the first visit he or she came to the practice, he actually developed retinopathy. It's already developed. So I do the pre-processing. I mean that I want to clean the data to then I call it T to the M type 2 diabetic mellitus dataset, and this is the first phase. And then I go and use the latent or hidden variable discovery. What I mean, I try to understand those. I try to capture the risk factors, the hidden risk factor. First of all from the data, and then add it to the data to be able to have a better predictive model. So, and then I use the temporal phenotype. So I explained that when during the time, for example, this is the first visit, and here is the 10th visit of a patient. Here is, you can see that this is showing a temporal phenotype based on the different patients' behavior, like based on the history collected in different visits. For example, in second visit, it has been like that. So then based on this, I say that this is the temporal phenotype for me, is kind of the pattern that is kind of ID for a patient, that's showing the patient from the first visit to the last visit, how the behavior and how the risk factor trajectory has been changed, and how many complications being developed. So, and then so I'm not sure that if I should go to detail to the different AI techniques that I use, and then a computational method, but I'll just name it. Dynamic time warping. I use this for the distance metrics, so to find the most influential hidden variable or temporal phenotype. So it's a different technique in clustering. Because the patient, so I had different patients with different visits. For example, patient number 1 has got 200 visits, while patient number 2 has got just 10 visits. So I got uneven number of visits, and consider that, and then see that I just only have like 356 patients with non-even number of the visits, with just a few risk factors, and I have to analyze them, and find a good predictive model. So I'm saying this because I just want you to understand that why I use Bayesian network. So it was necessary for me with this type of data set, with this with having lots of unmeasured factors, to be able to provide a good predictive model. So then I use time series clustering. So it's been many challenges. First of all, I started my PhD. I said, okay, so I am going to use, because I have a small data set and I want to explain it to non-expert, to clinician and patient. So I am going just latent variable discovery in dynamic Bayesian network, DBS. Okay, and then I talk about ICSR-LS later, which is helping me to have just a few hidden variables. So, and at the beginning, I say, okay, I am going.
Sorry, can I just a question? Yes. What is the Y value of this time series?
Sorry, which form?
The X is time, okay, but the Y value of this graphic is which is what
this one.
What measure?
You mean this?
Yes, what is
okay, so
measuring?
This one is actually is just a figure of the dynamic time warping. So I can show you a proper patient data with different visits. So actually this one is just showing that how dynamic time warping work. So I said that I have non-even number of visits per patient. As I said, one patient 200 visits, another one 10 visits. So by using dynamic time warping, DTW, distance, So in time series clustering, so which is showing like that, I'm being able to shrink the data to have equal number of visits. So
Yes, yes, but what means if the graphic goes up or down, the patient has more disease or less disease? What does it mean?
yes, exactly. So like so, yeah. This is showing the final outcome that is saying that if yeah, exactly. So there is a trajectory. So is overall of all of the risk factors. For example, if my blood pressure is like so is let's say some number like 70, 80 in visit 1. So then I have in here, okay. So then I have in visit 10 in
Okay,
here.
this is just a toy example. Yeah, right?
Yes.
Okay, it could be maybe the glycosylated hemoglobin in each visit, or maybe the blood pressure on each visit, or whatever you measure in each consultation. Yeah, right?
Yes, so actually this is just yeah, this is just showing for dynamic time working during the time how it's being changed, the risk factor is being changed during the time.
Okay, okay,
It's only
I got it. I
better
got it.
figure. I'll show you later in better figure that how do I mean. It's just like abstract, this one. It's just summarizing. That's why it's not complete. So yeah, is that fine?
Yeah, I got it. I know how DTW works. No
Oh,
problem.
yeah, thank you. So, and then by using this distance metric, so, and in time series clustering, so I provide different cluster, which I call it CH. Why I call it CH? Because it's a cluster of the hidden variable. So I have, if you see that is being, like two-sided. So first of all, during like first 2 years of my PhD, first year of my PhD, so I went this side and I said, okay, so I am going to solve this problem, but I couldn't. So I just used the hidden variable, latent variable discovery, and time series clustering to cluster patients. So cluster patients based on the temporal phenotype, which I explain it later. So this is, as I said, it's just abstract. So this is the first phase of my PhD that I tried to do that, to understand the cluster of the patients in here. But actually, when I use this cluster and I wanted to personalize patients and improve the prediction. So, but it was okay, but it wasn't very good. So then I had to go to other way. So I had to try something else. So in the parallel. So I used temporal association rules. Okay. So I used separately from the different side. So the temporal association rules to be able to say that, okay, so if I, as a patient with type 2 diabetes, if I develop hypertension in third visit, so, and then I develop retinopathy in visit number 10. So with having this profile, and all of other risk factors, so which other complication I am going to develop? So that was my question. That was the hypothesis, and that was the other side that I had to use. So I used the temporal association rules because I wanted to find the rules between the complication, the development of the complication during the time for each patient. So in here again, so mainly I just wanted to have a personalized patient. So I wanted to cluster patient. So the reason is just because I had, like, so with a small data set, so you might have many different patients from different background and different characteristics. So that's why I got the idea that I need to do clustering before prediction to prove the prediction. So then I use the Jacob distance in here in hierarchical clustering, and then I use okay. So still when I use that, So I see that the patient cluster that I obtain, they are not perfect. Okay, because I had many issues actually. I had many issues because it was a small data set. It was very good quality data that's being collected, but at the same time, it was problem with the. It got lots of problem. So I had to go through the different techniques. I have to write an algorithm to improve this distance metric in hierarchical clustering. And I've just written as an MCI, sorry, I just written MCI algorithm and I use ARM quality metrics. And then I went to, I tried to map the objects from these two different clustering. So I use different clustering method in here, words, and then in here, you can see in here. And then at the end, by combination of these two, I got different cluster, which I call it CTAR, TAR, which is cluster of patients obtained based on the temporal association rules. So then at the end, I had these two different cluster of the patients, which, so I got two different patients, right? So patient cluster, that which of these is being obtained and calculated based on different distance metric and different clustering method, different data sources. They are totally different, right? So what I've done, I said, okay, I have gotten these two. None of them seems very good to me. They are okay, but they are not perfect. So I compare these two. I just combine and compare these two by using different methods, like MDH statistic, by saying that if I have got, for example, I want to compare the first cluster number 1 of TAR, with the cluster number 1 of hidden variable. So I compare each cluster with the other cluster of the other method. And then by comparing these two and combining these two methods, I was able to find a similarity between the clusters. Then I found the most meaningful group of the patients, that I call it the most meaningful. Among all of the patients, I found the most meaningful. So by doing that, I was able to have a better prediction performance. And then by using the sensitivity analysis, so I was able to provide a good interpretation. So it was easier, let's say that this group of patients with this characteristic, they all have neuropathy and liver disease, hypertension, nephropathy, and retinopathy. So this is the profile of the patient in this group. This group is the combination of the cluster that is found in both clustering and is meaningful. So they have got all of the characteristics, similarity like that. By focusing on this subgroup, which it was like, I think 120 or something, like half of the data that I got. And I was able to improve the prediction performance to 99%, 98%. So once I use, like first of all, I use this. So at the end, this one, it was like 78, 80. And here it was like, I don't know, 82 or something. You can see it. But even if I don't use this and I consider whole patient without going through the clustering, right? Without clustering. So without using the dynamic Bayesian network. So in here, it was very, very low prediction performance. So at the end, I was able to interpret the result to say patients with this characteristic, with profile, are likely to have this kind of risk factors. This is a smoking habit, BMI, HDL, and hemoglobin, and systolic blood pressure. So this is the profile of the risk factor. As I said, I had 13 of them and 5 complications. So let's just move on to the results. So it wasn't just that. It was just that methodology that I show. It was just part of my PhD that I had to try it to be able to cluster patients. But then, as I said, my data was very complex and messy. So I had to deal with the unbalanced data. Yeah. So here is the patient profile. Yeah. So I have different patients with different profile, as you can see. Yeah. So and then I have a network in the time t minus 1, which is like that. This is hidden variable, and this is a smoking habit. So all of the risk factors, and here is the retinopathy, neuropathy. So all of the complication in here, the binary complication that I want to predict in here, and all other risk factor in here, right? So I just wanted to understand that in this time, I mean the prior, yeah, in the previous time or the current time. So how are the cause and effect relationship among the risk factor and complication? And I found, for example, hemoglobin is causing hypertension, and retinopathy affecting blood pressure, and neuropathy, HDL or whatever. And then I said, okay, so I don't want just use Bayesian network. This is Bayesian network, but I wanted to use dynamic Bayesian network. I mean that I include time. I include the temporal property of the patient during the time. So I said that in visit 1, patient look like that. Is all of the, at visit 1, hidden variable for the patient is causing BMI, for example. But in here, so is similarity, but is something changed. I mean that in next visit, I wanted to see another network. So, sorry. So what I have done, I use these two. I combine these. I said that I want to extract the data and analyze the patient data at each visit, like that. I have one network in here, another one in here. And then by using that, I would be able to have a better predictability. So here you can see that this is the final result, which I explained. So here is the number of visits for one patient. So here is just one patient, right? So here is just like the result in here you can see is just for one patient, as I see that this one was for one patient. And this patient has got 71 visits, yeah? And during the time, is being changing, fluctuation. What is that? So this one is showing the, here is showing the, how so as a patient, for example, I am the patient. So I say that, am I develop liver disease? If yes, in which visit? Yes, is a yes, and is in the 6th visit. So I said, I developed liver disease, this complication, LIV, yeah, here. Where is it? So L in here. So I developed this in my visit number 6. And then I look at this, I use different techniques. So I had to be able to say that I need to compare my model. I say that I use dynamic Bayesian network by assuming this kind of network. So and balancing the data because I had the imbalanced data. And then I use K2 reveal algorithm, which is this is the standard and basic Bayesian network algorithm. So this is another contribution that I've done. I compare with the standard method in dynamic Bayesian network. If you want to try dynamic Bayesian network, if you want to apply it, you might just first try to use K2 algorithm, because you need learning algorithm. Yeah, you need to learn that how these links are in here, how the direction of the links are there. So, and the pathway. So you need to understand this, and you need to use an algorithm. So K2 reveal is the most standard one. And then IC star is the one that I've done it myself. So I use the IC star is not mine. So IC star is just an LS is link strength. IC star is a constraint based algorithm, which is we can can be used in causal network like that. Can be used in causal network to say that how likely this node is causing this one, hypertension. Yeah. So by using this algorithm, so I combine what was the nobility, what was the Y contribution. I combine IC star with link strength. I say, okay, so IC star telling me there is a link between this and this one. Yeah, there is a link and direction saying that this is pointing to this is causing hypertension, hemoglobin causing hypertension. And then, so I used this in IC star, and then I said, okay, so I obtained some result. It was again good, but I wanted a better result. So I wanted to have the better network. For example, if I try other network, it might not be the same, similar. If I tried the same patient, if I run the algorithm, okay, so I might not get the same graph that you can see in here. It was not stable, it was not consistent. So that was the reason that I use IC star to find the directed link, the causal link between two nodes, and then link strength to saying that how strong is this link? What is the score of this link? So for example, if HDL is being caused by neuropathy, okay, so is that 100% or is that 50% is affecting this? How much? So, and I combine these two and I call it IC star LS or a stepwise algorithm to be able to have a consistent graph that it can be trustworthy and reliable. So, and yeah, another thing that I need to say that I don't discuss this too much. As I said, another challenge that I faced, it was imbalanced data. And as you know that I had uneven number of patients, so I couldn't do clustering and then balance the data. I needed to do at the beginning in pre-processing, right? So I had uneven number of the patient and I had many time points, I mean visits per patient, and I had unbalanced data. I mean that the number of the negative and positive tests for each complication, okay, so it was not equal, it was not close to each other even. So I had more negative results. Yeah, I mean, most of the patients, they didn't develop, for example, retinopathy. And it was, like, so it was much, much lower than the other complications. So it was unbalanced. So I used time series bootstrapping and I adjusted this algorithm. I adjusted the time series. I just written time series bootstrapping to be able to balance the data. based on the nature of the data, because as I said, it was very complex. So it was another contribution into the processing stage. And then, yeah, as I said, so I use a stepwise algorithm. And yeah, another thing that I need to say, so as you see that in the previous graph, that I use just one hidden variable. And you see that in a neural network, there are many million hidden layers. Yeah. But I just use one, but I still have got very good accuracy. But I realized that with having just 13 risk factors, like just blood pressure and HDL, LDL, or something else, and a smoking habit, and having just 5 complications, I want to just predict the complication, and I want to be very precise about this. So I see that I find out that is not very good. So that was the reason I used a stepwise IC star algorithm. So I mean that during the time I said, okay, so first I add one latent variable. I learn the latent variable in IC star algorithm. So I learned that there, so how is the distribution of the latent variable? And then in the next time, when I got that latent variable or hidden variable, I add that latent variable to my data. I say I consider that latent variable as another risk factor. So then I have 14 risk factors instead of 13. Yeah. So what I'm doing, I try to complete the data. I try to learn in a step unmeasured factor adding to the previous risk factor, to the observed risk factor. Why I'm doing that? I'm doing this because I want to improve the prediction. I want to have more complete data. I learn another factor and I add it. I don't know, although I'm saying this, having said that, so I don't know what is this unmeasured factor. I cannot call it like family history or depression. I cannot call it like that. Yeah, but still I can use it. Even I don't know what is that. I don't know, maybe it's a combination of the depression and something else, but still I can use it for improving the prediction. Yes. So I use that by using a stepwise IC star. Every time I run my algorithm, dynamic Bayesian network, I learn one hidden variable, one latent variable, and then I add this latent variable to my previous model, and then I continue. So yeah, here you can see that the impact of the hidden variable in type 2 diabetes complications. So if I say, so in here you can see I went through 3 steps. I learned the first latent or hidden variables, then second one in the second step of the IC star, stepwise IC star, and then I went to the third step. So I'm saying that how it works. So I'm saying that this is the kind of that I wanted to test. That if I consider having a latent variable, that unmeasured factor, then yeah, I wanted to see that if I say that is 0, how is going to be the probability of the highest state of my complication. So here is that for retinopathy. Here I want to observe and I want to predict retinopathy. I say that if my hidden variable at step 1 is 0, yeah, which is showing like that, how likely I am going to develop retinopathy, which is less than 0.1. And if it's 1, if I set the latent variable to 1, then there is no chance to develop retinopathy. So this is useful information. I'm telling you that how I use latent variable. I use latent variable to test that if I am going to develop a complication or not by just using this hidden or latent variable that I learned in dynamic Bayesian network and through this algorithm. So I test everything, and then the second hidden variable, and the third. So the novelty of this approach is showing that by learning more than one hidden variable, so I might be able to say, to understand something about the hidden variable. Yes, I said before that I didn't know what is that. I don't know that is a combination of the depression or family history which were missing, unmeasured. I didn't have those data. But still I cannot say it, but I can, so I can collect all of this data, all of this information, and by getting advice from the clinician. So saying that, consider this patient, when I set the hidden variable, this happens. When I send the second hidden variable, this is happening. You see that they are different. Yes. So that was the contribution, that even I don't know what is the hidden variable, but still I can use it in better way, even by learning more hidden variable. So that was the one of the things that I call it, that make model explainable, interpretable, which neural network, deep learning is not, they cannot do this. They have millions, they have thousands, hundreds of hidden variables, and they don't know how they are affecting the other risk factor. So that was, I'm saying that one of the reasons that I say that the model is explainable is this. So I hope that is clear. I know that is a little bit complex. So let's, I'm going to be a little bit, okay, yeah, okay. So I'm going to finish it soon. Yes, here, because I talk about everything almost. So in previous slide, you see that I use first stepwise IC star. Sorry. A stepwise IC star algorithm. Yes. And then so still it was good, like, so I could find more hidden variable, and I could understand a few hidden, for example, 3, 4, 5. Yes. But the thing is, ICSR algorithm help you when you provide a model, and when you train it, and when you run ICSR algorithm in there, then you can just provide a few latent variables. For example, 10, 4, 5, depend on the data you enter. So you use the algorithm. So you can try it. So you can see that if I apply this, so then I have like previously 3 hidden variable or 4. The thing was that it was not consistent, as I said. It was not consistent, a stepwise IC star that I use it and I develop it. So I could, for example, if I run the algorithm second time, instead of 3 hidden variables, I get 6 hidden variables. And this is not good, right? Because I want to be consistent, and I want to focus on most influential hidden variable. I want to focus on the most meaningful hidden variable, because I want to understand them, and I want to add it to the data to be useful. So that is the reason I use a stepwise IC star LS, which is link strength. As I said previously, I add another algorithm to this. I combine with the link strength to be able to have an optimum number of the hidden variable. For example, 5. You can see that in here, I went through step 5, and then I see that the accuracy dropped. So that was the stopping point. So even I could learn more hidden variable, but I had to just focus on 4 hidden variable. I don't want the 5th hidden variable. Is not useful. Why? Because the accuracy started to be dropped in here. So that was the stopping point of the algorithm. And while I used the stepwise ICSR linkage range, LS, so even the accuracy is being improved. So as you see that, so in step 1 is like that. And then in step 4 is very close to 100. Yeah, maybe 98 or something. Yeah, I have the figure in here that you can see. And in the method and models, I mentioned that I just written another algorithm by using temporal association rules. Yes, because I couldn't find a good cluster of the patient based on the rules among the risk factor. For example, I say if I have hypertension, if I have liver disease, how likely I am going to develop hypertension? Hypertension given liver disease. So this is the hypothesis in here. And in here saying that by having a neuropathy and hypertension, how likely I am going to have liver disease. So this is the rules that I'm saying. For example, I'm saying that the rules are temporal rules. I say first I develop neuropathy, then I develop hypertension, then I develop liver disease. It doesn't matter. Maybe I develop neuropathy at the second visit, I develop hypertension at the third visit, and I develop liver disease at the visit 50. Doesn't matter, but it still is order. So I found this sequence or ordering of the complication occurrence in here, as you can see. So, and I use this information to find all of the patients, they have similar pattern. All of the patients, they first develop neuropathy, second hypertension, and then liver disease. I put all of the patients with this pattern in one cluster. So that was the choice that I, by writing the MCI algorithm, I was able to provide this pattern. So as you can see that before using the MCI algorithm, I had this prediction accuracy for nephropathy, liver disease, hypertension, and then after is being like that, the improved. Yeah, okay, so I think, yes, so is, it's still stay there because it's not finished. So I just wanted to say that what I'm doing right now in my postdoc research. So it's Alan Turing and British Heart Foundation project. It's called this. Unfortunately, I don't know really. So it's being a little bit security thing. So I couldn't share more, but just the name of the what I'm doing. So I do integration of the time and genetic instruments and dependent causal methods for the construction of metabolomics network for assessment of the drug compounds. And so I'm working with these people, and I really enjoy that because it's similar. So still I'm working on type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease. So, but it's a lot more that even I use causal network. Cause and effect, because Bayesian network is based on the cause and effect. So it's similar, right? So, and still I use type 2 diabetes, but a lot of more. So I could, like I am using my previous knowledge in my PhD to be able to prescribe to say that which drug is the best for type 2 diabetes based on their diet that I didn't have it. It was some of the missing data, metabolism. And based on the causal network and based on the different drug and the nature of the disease. So that's very interesting. That is my project, my postdoc. And so yes, let's go to the conclusion. So I just wanted to conclude saying that based on the clinical implication and computational outcome that I discussed. So I believe that it's been explainable, not I'm not claiming totally, but more than if I use neural network, which I apply neural network, it was like very, very low accuracy. So, and like, so I couldn't even apply neural network. When you need to see that when you have a small data set and you need to find something, so which method is the best? So, and one purpose of this study was actually to assess the extent to which that hidden or latent variable predicted those complications, as I explained it in a figure for you. And then the single most striking observation to emerge from my outcome. It was based on it's being evaluated based on the sensitivity and accuracy and confidence interval. I mean that I use many computational and math to make sure that nothing is random. Nothing is just based on the guess or chance that I am saying that that is good or not good. So, and then, yeah, based on the clinical recommendation. So, yeah, actually this project was part of the Mosaic project, like for the European Union. And so the project that I was doing in my PhD, and actually they wanted me to do that because they wanted to improve the Mosaic tool. And so hopefully we are going to do something. I mean that the tool that is going to help lots of hospitals. Yeah, after all, so what I wanted to say is that yeah, okay, so let me actually go to the next slide. Oh, yes, okay, yeah. Future work. One of the things that I need to add in here, that opening the black box, I'm saying that still I didn't open the black box. I tried to explain something. Yes, I tried to explain something. I tried to capture hidden variable and use it to explain the complex model. Yeah, so what else we could do? Development of the different methods. Yeah, for the complex method. What are the different methodology that we could use actually? So I needed to do more research to see that what might be like another method which is better. Yeah, and I could use it. And the other thing is just the combination of the deep learning and Bayesian network. Which yeah, recently, like I think 4 or 5 years ago, yeah, maybe more, 6 years, yeah, 5, 6 years ago, they done something on deep Bayesian network, and this is the things that is the combination of these two. Yeah, I mean that the limitation of the deep learning and Bayesian network is being served by using that. So, and I'm really interested to use that in any opportunity. So, and then, yes, so something else is just like if I want to be fair, so and if I want to say that, okay, so how we can revolutionize healthcare, how we can do that. Actually, sorry, we can have different if we want to have a better healthcare, which is trustworthy for both patient and clinicians, and even useful for the data scientists. So we need to go through all of this. Yeah. So, and this is my list to go through and see that yes, so how we can do better. Yeah, still, like, so there's lots of um, weaknesses about my work, so I need to do, and I need to be aware of them. And another thing that the need for AI transparency, the other work, like so they bring some work, like even they try to explain the deep learning, right? Neural network, they're using some of the Elon Musk, all of you. So in OpenAI, AI Doctor, Google AI Doctor, and many other methods that are right now they're using. They try to improve the interpretability and trustworthiness. So, and this is my publication, and yeah, thank you for listening.